In which stage are relations now between Turkmenistan and Great Britain? The effect of Brexit to Great Britain's relations with Central Asian countries, especially with Turkmenistan. We will ask these questions today to Her Britannic Majesty's Ambassador, Mr. Hugh Philpott. You have been in Ashgabat for 4 months with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary and the Plenipotentiary of Great Britain. And during this time, you have managed to get acquainted not only with the Turkmenistan capital, but also to visit all regions of country. In this regard, are there any projects, plans, and in what sectors do you intend to implement together with Turkmenistan in the interests of mutually beneficial Turkmen-British cooperation?
It gives me great pleasure and also it's a great honour to be Her Majesty's ambassador here in Ashgabat in Turkmenistan. I've been wanting to come to Turkmenistan for a number of years, and at last the opportunity was provided for me. Yes, I've already had the opportunity to travel in several different places in Turkmenistan, and I feel very lucky to have been able to do that. I was up in the north in Dushabuz and in this area quite early on in September and October. I also visited Mari and Ancient Merv towards the end of last year. And in fact, this coming weekend, I should be going to Mali again for another one of our projects. I want to create more connections, more contacts, broader networks in every single different sector. I don't want to limit our relationship only to the very important sectors of energy and security and human rights. I want to make sure that we have a mature and broad-based relationship. I want to find new ways to communicate with people. I want to meet new people in all sectors. I want to work with them. I want to discover what is it that Turkmenistan is good at and has to offer my country, and what is it my country is good at and has to offer Turkmenistan. So we have many opportunities, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very enthusiastic.
Mr. Ambassador, Turkmen-British Trade and Industrial Council was established many years ago.
Yes.
In order to enhance inter-taste cooperation. Last year, the 7th session of the council was held in Ashgabat. How effective do you think the work of this council is?
This is a very good thing. The bilateral trade talks, which happen alternatively in the UK or in Turkmenistan, are an opportunity for us to meet formally and to bring representatives from a number of companies, people who might not normally visit either the UK or visit Turkmenistan. And during that time, not only do they have the formal bilateral session, but they also have the chance to have a lot of private one-to-one meetings to develop their ideas around trade, to develop their ideas around cooperation in many different types of projects. We can also use this bilateral meeting effectively to cover some political work as well, because there are many common security and stability issues that are important to the United Kingdom and also important to Turkmenistan. Your relationship with your big partners like China and Russia. And I think that we can use this set-piece bilateral meeting usefully to cover many different things, not only trade, but energy. We have a very vibrant, active and large energy sector, as do you. And so it's important to bring these people together as well. So I'm very happy with how that process works.
Mr. Ambassador, on January 31st, The UK officially began the process of leaving the European Union, which will last for the entire year. Will Brexit affect relations with the Central Asian region, and in particular the Turkmen-British cooperation?
It's a very good question. It's a good question to ask at this time. The United Kingdom now is in a transition period. We've now officially left the European Union. This was the democratic will of the people of the United Kingdom, and my government has worked hard to deliver that departure from the EU. The United Kingdom is an outward-looking country that will now be able to refresh and develop its relations with all countries in the world. And for me, that job is with Turkmenistan. I'm very proud that my country showed perhaps a supreme example of democracy, in that the people were able to vote on something, and then the government followed those instructions from the people and carried out their will, and we're now where we are. I think looking forward, there will be a number of sectors. On the 31st of January, the UK actually left the EU. So we're not beginning a process, we've left the EU. We're in a transition period, and we've been very active already, particularly around the international agenda of climate change, because the COP26 meeting will be in the United Kingdom this year, but around other sectors and other topics as well. And we're particularly keen to be increasing our independent trade arrangements and relationships with all countries on the world. My colleague who represents the United Kingdom in Geneva at the international organizations has taken up his seat, independent seat at the WTO. This will also open up many opportunities in developing new trading relationships with many countries. With Turkmenistan, you will not see any huge change in how we will be working with Turkmenistan, because for the last 3 or 4 years we've been preparing to leave the EU anyway and been developing our new and future relationships.
Mr. Ambassador, what can you say about the prospects for developing air traffic between our countries?
It's another good question, and a favourite topic of mine. I've spent perhaps the last 5 or 6 years of my career in Central Asia, and so connectivity, communications and transport is very important to me. And I think possibly one of the more difficult things about living in the Central Asian countries is transport and communications. It can be quite difficult to travel from one city to another. For example, from Bishkek directly to Dushanbe, or from Ashgabat directly to Tashkent, or Nur Sultan to Dushanbe. These are difficult journeys to make, and often people will need to travel either to Moscow or to Istanbul or through Almaty in order to reach those destinations. So air connections and air flights are important. Turkmen Airways is a very good airline. I've used several times already in my time here. I'm very pleased that the flight to Birmingham has been such a success and very popular indeed. And I understand that there may be an increase in regularity. I'm not sure where those negotiations are up to. But my role in negotiations over flight routes is at the moment minimal. It's something which the companies that run the airlines and also with our transport ministries deal direct. And so I will facilitate anything that Turkmen Airways is looking for and that the government of Turkmenistan supports, but the decisions will be made by the experts who work on these aviation agreements. But yes, it is my hope that those flight routes will exist, because that's key, that's important for delivering the other things we've talked about. You know, more trade, more connectivity, networking, connections between people, students travelling backwards and forwards. Air routes and flights are very important.
Thank you. Mr. Ambassador, as you know, in Turkmenistan, many projects in the field of construction and the economy are carried out by well-known foreign companies. Are there British companies among them? What do you intend to attract British investment to Turkmenistan?
The British construction companies are active in many places around the world, and particularly British architects who are very famous, and the design planning of particularly major venues, major public spaces is a speciality for us. And I believe there was large British involvement in construction of the Olympic facilities here in Ashgabat, as in other places around the world. There are a number of large other foreign companies who are well positioned here, and I think that that's absolutely fine, and that's good, and it's the choice of Turkmenistan to work with whom they wish. If at some stage in the future Turkmenistan wishes to work with British construction companies, I'm sure I can facilitate those negotiations and put them in touch with those organisations that can build these large projects you're talking about. I think more broadly, the question around investment in a country, if you're thinking that then a British investor is going to invest in businesses or industry here in Turkmenistan, because British foreign investment around the world is one of the most dynamic, and also our own country welcomes foreign investment. So of course I welcome Turkmen foreign investment in the United Kingdom as well. This is a key part of my role to encourage more Turkmen investment in the United Kingdom. My colleague in London, the Turkmen ambassador in London, it will be his job to encourage British companies to invest in Turkmenistan. And I believe there will be a meeting at some stage during the summer in London on this very subject. So there is some activity.
Earlier, the British Globe Theatre successfully toured Turkmenistan. And the last year, a notable event in the cultural life of our country were the concerts of famous British singer Joss Stone.
Right.
Are there any concrete plans to strengthen Turkmen-British cooperation in a cultural sphere?
I very much hope that my plans will be concrete, and I very much hope that I will be able to dedicate attention also to developing links in the cultural sphere. The Globe Theatre, that was the Globe to Globe project as part of the celebration and commemoration of William Shakespeare, visited every country on the planet with a very innovative presentation of Hamlet. And so I'm very happy that it came to Ashgabat. Joss Stone has had a very successful world tour as well, where she's given, as you mentioned, very nice concerts, but also worked with local musicians. I think going forward, I'm looking for those ideas, and I'll be talking with my colleagues in the region to see what opportunities there might be through British Council or through private sponsorship to bring events, not just events, but actually sort of cooperative projects, because although it's very nice to spend money on events, I want something which is going to include Turkmen and British people, so they can work jointly on something. So, for example, if I bring some form of exhibition or some form of entertainment or something academic, I want there to be opportunities for students, young people and older people to get involved. So I'm working with my team to try and come up with something imaginative and creative. I'll give you an example. Last autumn, for the first time, a delegation from Turkmenistan participated in Creative Central Asia. This is a forum which is run by the British Council. It's been run for 4 or 5 years now in Central Asia. I saw the director of the British Council worldwide last year, and I said, why has Turkmenistan been forgotten and not invited to this? And so we were lucky, we were then invited. They only gave us 4 places, but in the end, I think we sent more than 10 people. That's how I like to work. You know, if you give me 5 opportunities, I'll take 10. And I want to make sure that Turkmenistan gets to be involved in these British regional activities more and more, particularly around new sectors of business and economic development, which are also fun, which can also be interesting to people. So I'll do my best. All my plans will be concrete, not necessarily in the building way that we mentioned just a moment away. Watch this space, see what happens, see what I do next. I want to create a good connection and a good relationship between the UK and Turkmen people. So thank you for your good wishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.